So as we watch what's going on with the pandemic, as we watch what's going on with the various protests and Black Lives Matter movement across the country, brands in some cases are faced with some thorny questions about how to operate internally as well as present their face to the world. We've got the latest Edelman Trust Barometer, and it's a special report on brand trust in particular. 46% of the folks surveyed said they do trust most of the brands they buy or use, and it's second now only to price when it comes to decisions about what they're going to buy. We're joined now by Richard Edelman. He is the Edelman CEO, again, that helped put together this survey. So Richard, it sort of confirms what we've anecdotally been talking about a lot over these past few months, is that values have become much more important to people when they're making these decisions, right?
I think there have been two seismic shocks in the ecosystem. And the first was COVID. And then the second was the murder of George Floyd, leading to protests. And so people are reevaluating what matters. And what matters now is, do I trust the brand to actually treat its employees well, to speak up on issues of the day? This is a big change. In 1 year, you've seen it go from fifth to second place, just after price, ahead of quality, ingredients, things that normally, marketing professors would be teaching in B school. And now trust is a centerpiece of the buying equation. Sort of between rational and emotional sits trust.
So what happens to a brand like Aunt Jemima? Quaker Oats is going to drop that, moniker. What happens to them going forward? Does that build trust and then increase their marketability?
So I think some brands, Cream of Wheat and Uncle Ben's and Aunt Jemima, have had to fix history. And so, Aunt Jemima's the origins go back to 1890, and it was a very different America that we were talking about. And so it really depends now on what PepsiCo does to forge a new kind of reputation for the Aunt Jemima brand. Is it, helpful for kids? Is it one way or another linking back to the African American community? I don't know, but it has to have a news story. And some brands need to jump in, though, even if they aren't necessarily inherently part of the story, because that's what consumers expect. 60% of people we surveyed said, hey, I'm only going to buy a brand if it stands up and speaks up for me on issues that I care about. And whether it's COVID or race, brands now need actually to stop ducking and start participating. And one other stat that's amazing, since this is a stat-oriented network, 4-to-1 people say, I will trust a brand more if they stand up and speak up than if they duck. That's amazing. Even on race, which is the third rail of the American dialogue.
Hi, Richard. It's Heidi Chung here. So I was going through the report, and there's something called the Corporate Equality Index, and you gave a score to the top 20 Fortune-ranked companies. 13 of them scored 100%, but what really caught my attention was the fact that Berkshire Hathaway scored a 0. And so I want to know how this ranking sort of worked and why Berkshire got a 0% there.
Berkshire invests passively, and Warren comes out once a year and opines. But on the issues that really matter at the moment, whether it's COVID or racism, it's not the BH way. But maybe he'll adapt based on this lovely ranking. But he has spoken up on the mass class divide and other things. So let's see. But this is a new test for big money managers, whether you're Fidelity or others. Is your own house in order? This is a really good finding from this study. Again, it's great to talk about being a forward brand, but if you actually have numbers in your own organization that don't reflect the reality of America, you're not achieving anything. In fact, you're going to have you're a fake company kind of accusation.
Hey, Richard, I want to ask about how brands respond, and then they get the kind of flack for maybe jumping on a bandwagon, right? We see them on social. Ben & Jerry's is a brand that, puts its money where its mouth is, right? That's, I think, one of the brands that we can agree does this well. But there are so many others out there that either flop or have no clue what's going on, or probably just shouldn't say very much. I think Gusher's tweet was very strange. No idea how they're helping with racial equality or equity. How do you avoid something like that coming off as just flippant or as if you shouldn't have any kind of part of the conversation, period?
Well, the lovely phrase I love is performative, which means, BS. And if all you do is jump on the bandwagon and say, yes, Black Lives Matters, but in fact, you don't change your own house and you don't educate, advocate, or actually invest in fixing specific problems. I mean, that's what I love about Ben & Jerry's. For instance, they employ people who've served terms for misdemeanor in jail. Otherwise, these people are unemployables. So that's money where your mouth is. And that's what more companies and brands are going to need to do. Show us that you are in the game. Walmart this week getting rid of flags from the state of Mississippi, which have the Confederate battle flag in the core of the flag. That's not today. And so, again, companies are going to continue to have to fix history, but also advance on places where government has left a void. Education, health. How are we going to go back to work safely? That's a perfect example for a fast food chain like Yum, which has actually been spacing and PPE and things like this. That's doing, not just talking.
I like that. Performative means BS. Thank you so much, Richard Edelman. It's always good to get your perspective.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.